Again, my name is Michael. I'm part of the Office of Professional Employees, Local 277, and I represent American Income. And what we do is we provide protective benefits to teachers, firefighters, police officers. And the way that works is their executive boards negotiate certain benefits for them, and it's our job to take care of them during their service period. Now, I'm here for you today, John, because you requested a card through the Pinewood Elementary School for the Child Safe Kit, right? Exactly. Now, the Child Safe program is endorsed and sponsored by the International Union of Police Associations, the American Federation of Teachers, and the American Federation of School Administrators. The purpose of the Child Safe program was to properly prepare families in the event of a tragedy striking the household, such as a child going missing or a parent passing away. So everything that they have me share with you deals with the safety and security of our children. Now, there are going to be 4 items that I have to leave with you today that are all at no cost. The first of which is a discount card. It's not insurance, but it helps families save on things like glasses, braces, medications, things that you usually need the most. The second thing is a family information guide, which works kind of like a will. Do you happen to have a will? No, most people don't. Basically, Florida is a probate state, so without a will and testament, and something happens to you, the state is going to decide where your stuff goes instead of your family. So I'm going to leave this with you, and you get it notarized and keep it at home. The third thing is the $2,000 accidental policy. It's not a lot of coverage, we know, but in case something happens to either one of you, whoever's going to take care of your children at least has something to deal with the initial arrangements, okay? And the fourth thing is that child safety ID kit. It's what works with the Amber Alert. I'm going to show you how to use it, the fingerprints, the DNA, the physical descriptions, and you're going to keep it at home and have all the information you need in case of the search. Now, the last thing that they have me share with you are family protection plans, and those are programs of life insurance. They just have me go over the information with you, and I'm here to answer any questions that you may have, okay? Now, it is important for you to know if you have any questions, anything you want me to go over, say, or do for you, please have me do so today, because once I report at the end of my day all the families I've seen, they don't send an agent back to the same location for a period of 3 years. They just wanted to make sure that agents are always going back to homes who haven't been visited before. So if you need me to do anything, just have me do so today. Alright, so the first no-cost item that I have for you is the American Income Partners discount card. Now, the most important thing about this is that it's not insurance. It's actually going to work with or without your insurance where it applies. There's a 1-800 number that you can dial if you have further questions, and a website here where you can log in to find a list of the local providers. Okay. Now, there are 2 programs, the Basic and the Gold, neither of which you do through me. You're just going to mail the one that you want on your own. Now, one card works all over the U.S. and is good for everyone in the household. Now, the Basic saves you on things like eye care, hearing, prescription drugs, and chiropractic services. The Gold program is something of an upgrade, so it covers all of the basic as well as dental, vitamins and nutritional supplements. Travel Assist doesn't work here in Florida because we have Road Ranger, and that's a free service to you, and access to a 24-hour nurse helpline. Now, being that it is an upgrade, it is $24.95 a year. That's a one-time payment, okay? Either way, you choose the one that works best for you. If you want the application, you're going to take the top part for the Basic, you'll fill it out, put it inside, and 10 to 14 days from now, you're going to get your card. If you do want the Gold, throw the top part away. You don't need it. You'll fill the whole thing out, put in a check or money order for the $24.95. Do you have any questions about that? That makes sense, right? Okay, so that's the first thing that I have at no cost for you. So the second thing is the Family Information Guide, and this is what works kind of like a will. Now, what you're going to do is basically start at the top with your vital statistics, your name, your address, social security number. Did either of you ever serve in the military? Okay. No? Well, you just leave that blank then. Spouse vital statistics list each other. Persons to be notified. In case of an emergency and something happening, who's going to take care of your children or your estate and possibly your final arrangements. Your last will and testament. If you get something more elaborated, go ahead and put that information there so it can be easily executed. Your estate info, which is things like your life insurance. Now, who do you currently have your life insurance with? You don't have any life insurance. May I ask why? Well, whenever you get that taken care of, go ahead and just put the company, the policy number, and the amount that it covers you for. Financial institution, that's just checking and savings. Safety deposit box, if you have one and you use it, don't keep it in there because of Florida's probate laws. And then down here on the very bottom is a funeral service request. I know it's not a dinner table conversation, but mark down, do you want an earth burial? Do you want a cremation? And special instructions, if you got into an accident, would you want to be resuscitated or not resuscitated? Life support, things like that. Once you fill it all out, take it to your bank. Who do you bank with? I use Fairwinds. Oh, Bank of America? Well, they should notarize this for you for free. So go ahead and take it there, get it notarized, and keep it somewhere at home. It's going to sound weird, but put it in a Ziploc bag and tape it inside your refrigerator. In case of an emergency, EMTs, paramedics, they're trained to check for medications because some have to be refrigerated. Do you have any questions about that? That makes sense, right? Perfect. So that's the second no-cost item I have for you. Now, the third thing is that $2,000 accidental policy. I know it's not a lot of coverage, but in case something happens to you guys, whoever's going to take care of your kids at least has something. Now, this is the application, not the actual policy. So I'm going to fill my portion out for you, and you're going to fill your portion out and mail it to Waco, Texas. Now, it will take about 3 to 4 weeks to get the actual policy with your name on it in the mail. It does only pay out in the case you die from an accident, so slip, boom, fall, you're talking to God, your family gets paid. If you lose a limb like an eye, hand, or foot, it'll pay half directly to you to go towards your medical bills. All right. Now, next year, if you want to keep this, it's $2 for the entire year to keep it at the $2,000 of coverage. Do you have any questions about this? That makes sense, right? Perfect. So that's the third thing I have for you. So, of course, the fourth item is that Child Safe Kit. Now, this is what works with the Amber Alert. Now, I don't know if you knew this, but there were over 500,000 children that were reported missing last year. And Florida is one of the worst states per population where this happens the most. And we're also surrounded by water, so it's very easy for a child to be taken out of the country. Just know, God forbid, if something happened, the police are going to be here and they're going to gather all that information from you. But for every hour you delay the process, they have to increase that search radius by 60 miles in every direction, so you only get one shot. So what you're going to want to do is go ahead and fill out the child's information. I'd say do it most of it in pencil, just because your children are going to grow. So you're going to want to put the name of the child, the day, month, and year the kit was completed. On the inside, all that personal info, their name, nickname, date of birth, age, gender, height, weight, eye color, hair color. You don't need to list their social security number and contact for both of you guys, okay? Here's where there's any physical description like birthmarks, beauty marks, scars, piercings, things you don't know about. Mark on the body where it is and describe what it looks like. This is where you can attach a DNA sample. I'm sure there are times where you feel like pulling the hair out of your kids. Yeah, go ahead. This is a good time to do that. Just make sure you get 1 or 2. You need the root. That's with the good stuff. Piece of clear tape. You're all set. Now, this is for all 10 fingers. I'm sure you love and trust your children, but you don't want ink all over your house, so definitely do this with them. All you need is a simple dab on the ink and a dab on the paper. You don't need to roll it. We're not booking them. They're not going to jail unless you want a vacation. And then you leave it open so that way it can dry. And then lastly, put a photo here. Tape and don't glue so you can switch it out every 6 to 12 months. The most important thing, there's no waiting period to report a child missing. Okay, so after you've explained all the no-cost benefits, your goal as an agent is to get that client to get their phone out, so that way you can get names and numbers from it. Most clients nowadays do not have names and numbers memorized. If they do, fantastic. So your goal is to make sure they have that out before you ask for referrals. So when you ask for referrals, you've already gotten that problem out of the way. Alright, so real quick, go ahead and get your phone out. I want to give you a contact number just in case those kids get lost or damaged, or as your children grow, you can be guaranteed to get a hold of us and we'll replace them for you at no cost again. You just let me know when you're ready. Alright, so the number is 407-682-7522. You could just save that under C for Child Safe Kit, because if you put it under my name, you might forget who I am and delete it. Okay, so as I said, we are dedicated to the police union to getting these kits out to all the families in Florida who have children. Now, without the help of the community, this is nearly impossible. Wouldn't you agree? Right, so we all need to do our part. The police just ask us to ask you, go through your phone one time from A to Z and sponsor in anybody that you know who has a child, just so we can be guaranteed to protect their children, just like we did yours. So who's the first one that you would like to do that for? Okay, and who's next? Who's next? Okay, perfect. Now, you have my commitment that I'm going to get these benefits out to all the families that you sponsored, but I need you to understand I have anywhere from 8 to 10 appointments every day, so I'm going to have to squeeze them in. So let me ask you, of the people that you sponsored, who would you want to guarantee that I can get these benefits to while I'm still in the area? Mary? Okay, great. Could you go ahead and just give her a call and introduce us and let her know who I am, so the second I get a chance, I can give her a call and we'll get this out to her. Okay, I appreciate you giving that first person a call. While we have your list out, why don't we go ahead and just text the rest and let them know who I am, so they'll be expecting a call. Because the one thing I hate being called by a telemarketer is being treated like one. Okay, thanks so much. I appreciate that. So now I know it's 2016 and a lot of times people have life insurance, but what we see is a lot of times people have no idea what they have or how it works. So what they have me do is explain the differences of life insurance to you. So whole life and term life and accidental are the three types of life insurance that exist. Now, accidental is what we've given you. It's very simple. It's the cheapest and easiest form of insurance there is. Slip, boom, fall, you're talking to God, your family gets paid. Okay. The other two are term life and whole life. Now, term life is designed to cover things that are temporary, like your income, okay, or your mortgage, for example. Like right now, you have a 3-year-old daughter. Not to make it sound like a jail sentence, but you got 15 years left to serve of her being dependent on you for everything. So in case of your death, in the meantime, she needs your income to continue to be raised. But eventually, she's going to grow up and move out, and you don't want to pay for the insurance you don't need anymore, right? Exactly. So that's what term insurance does. It gives you that large amount of coverage for that limited period of time for a very limited cost. Okay? And then there's the whole life insurance. And that stuff really is just designed for your funeral and your final expenses. The reason being, from day 0 to 120 is what life insurance consider a whole life. You're guaranteed to pass away. So you're always going to need some kind of money to take care of your funeral and final arrangements. Now, how this one works is once you get it, they lock it in. It stays at the same fixed cost. And it's that cash value product you hear about, so it does save money for the future. Now, for that reason, it's usually a medium cost for a medium amount of coverage because it's guaranteed for the rest of your life. That makes sense, right? Do you have any questions about that? Okay, so the last thing that they have me go over with you is a quick little survey. This is just going to basically look at the needs of most families because we see a lot every week, and some families already have coverage in place, so it doesn't recommend anything. But seeing as you don't have anything, it may recommend something for you. Now, I was going to say, I talk a lot. Do you mind if I get a glass of water? So this is the survey, as I said. Basically, it's designed to look at the families of most people have every single week and see if there's any gaps in their coverage. So we're just going to go through this together. So Joe, what is your date of birth? Okay. And Mary, yours is? Okay, perfect. Now we got to take care of the kids, of course. They're an important part of the family. So little John, and what's his date of birth? Okay. And Sarah? Okay, perfect. Now, the first set of questions that they have me ask you are medical, and unfortunately, this does disqualify a lot of families, so you let me know if anything applies. Just speak up. So have you had any form of internal cancer in the last 2 years? Are you guys insulin diabetic? Any cardiovascular diseases like heart attacks, strokes? I'm superstitious, runs in my family. I know we breathe oxygen. Do you guys need help from a mask? Any terminal illnesses? Do you guys remember having Alzheimer's? Would you if you did? Have you guys used any form of tobacco in the last 12 months? Okay. And then no probations, no DUIs, nothing crazy? You haven't been caught yet? Okay. So over here, the first question that they're going to have me ask here is income per parent. The reason being is your family is used to a certain level of income right now. And when you go, your income goes with you. So what the program wants to do is see how much it needs to protect of your income so it can provide for your family even after you're gone. Which that's pretty cool, right? So roughly on a monthly basis, how much do you guys take home? $2,000? And Mary, $1,300 part-time. I can understand that. No worries. All right. And then do you guys have any form of life insurance through work? You guys $10,000 each? Okay. Do you guys know how that works? Well, basically, it's a group policy. So as long as you're part of that group, you're covered. However, as soon as you leave that group, you're no longer covered because you're no longer a part of their group, which is why people get insurance outside of work. Now, do you have any type of life insurance outside of work designed to take care of your funeral and final expenses? So if you died last night, who'd be taking care of that today? That's why it's so important that you have a plan in place to prevent that burden. Wouldn't you agree? Okay. Now, do you have any form of type of life insurance outside of work designed to replace your income or, pay off the house or anything like that? So, Mary, if Joe passed away, would you be able to continue to afford the bills without his income? Probably feel a lot better knowing that was protected, right? Okay, so. And then the mortgage, you guys rent or own? You guys are homeowners? Congratulations. How much is the balance? About $120,000. Slowly chipping away. I know how that is. Now, in case of death, do you guys have anything to pay that off? No? Okay, well, we'll show you how that works. And then I'm assuming you want your children to go to college, right? Yeah, most parents do. So we got that there. So all I'm going to basically, you said you use checking, savings, or both? Both? Okay. So all I'm going to do is go ahead and submit the information that you provided. What it's going to do is go ahead and just think, and we'll go from there. Okay, so do you have any questions about that? That all makes sense, right? Okay, so what it's recommending for you here, Joe, is $30,000 for your final expenses. Here's what you currently have covering that, and then this is what they went and qualified you for, was the full $30,000. So when you pass away, that's what your family will use to pay for your funeral. Okay, do you have any questions? That makes sense, right? And then Mary, it's actually recommending the same $30,000, the same coverage, and what they went and qualified you for was that $30,000 to take care of your final expenses. All right, does that make sense? Okay, perfect. So let's see what else it says. All right, your income. Obviously, your income is a very important part to your family. So, Joe, what it says here in the next 5 years, you're going to go ahead and make $100,000. So in case of your death, your family is going to need $100,000 over the next 5 years. And what it went and qualified you for was that full $100,000, so your children and your wife can continue to be taken care of. Mary, it looks like 3 years worth of your income is about $76,000. So in case of your death, here's what you have covering it. And what it went and did is qualified you for that same $76,000. So in case of your passing, Joe here will have that to continue to take care of your family and the kids. Does that make sense? You have any questions about that? Okay, cool. So let's see here. We got the mortgage. Obviously, it's an important part of the house. It's for your family. So if you were to pass away, they recommended that $160,000 to take care of that mortgage. And then that way when your family can go ahead and just keep the home. Does that make sense? Okay. And then the college education here of the kids. You said just so yourself, you obviously want your kids to go to college. Now without you, they're probably going to have a hard time paying for it. Wouldn't you agree? Exactly. So what they recommend is $100,000 for each one of your children so they can be guaranteed an education. In case of your death, here's what's currently covering it. And what they went and qualified you for was that full $100,000 so they can be taken care of and go to college. Does that make sense? Do you have any questions about that? Okay. Well, this does also come with some hospitalization coverage. And basically the way that this works is, let's say you were on your way to work and you trip, you sprain your ankle, and you got to go to, you think you broke it, and you got to go somewhere, right? Doctor's office, an emergency room, a walk-in clinic. Well, now you got co-pays and deductibles. So what this is going to do is pay $200 directly to you, and that's also on your wife, and that's also on all of your children. Now, let's say it's more serious than that. You're on your way to work, somebody's in more of a rush than you are, and you wind up in an automobile accident. Well, an average stay in the hospital is 3 to 5 days. So this is going to pay $400 for every day you're in the hospital. That's $1,200 to $2,000 to pay what? Exactly. Your bills or the hospital bills, that 20% that your health insurance doesn't cover. Now, if it was more traumatic, I don't wish it on you, but you end up in ICU. Internal bleeding, head trauma. It's going to pay you $800 for every day that you're in ICU. Now, you're not going to stay there forever. You're going to go home, but not immediately. They're going to put you back to a hospital room at that $400 for the remaining $365. So it actually gives you $146,000 of coverage each person each year. Kind of just takes the gambling out of accidents. Okay. Now, this is in addition to your final expenses of $30,000. On both yourself and your wife, Mary. And we're going to cover $10,000 on each of your children until they turn 21, and they'll be pre-qualified for increased coverage later on without evidence of insurability. Now you do have here, of course, as well, is your income. Now, John, it was recommending $100,000 in addition to that $30,000 for your funeral and your final expenses. Mary, it's that $76,000 plus the $30,000 for your funeral and final expenses. Now, we do have here is an accidental death benefit because let's be honest, if you're going to die anytime soon, what's it going to be from? Car accident? You're probably right. I hope not. Now, if it's a standard accident, slip, boom, fall, you're talking to God, this pays $40,000 in addition to the $100,000 for your income and the $30,000 for your funeral and final expenses. And Mary, you have that same benefit too, and your children are going to be covered with $8,000 plus their $10,000. Now, if it was an automobile, it pays double. So $80,000 in addition to your income and your final expenses on both you and your wife, and you got $16,000 plus the $10,000 on your children. Now, if it was a common carrier like a bus, a plane, a taxi, a cruise, something that you pay fare to travel on, that's actually $200,000 of coverage in addition to the $100,000 for your income and the $30,000 for your final expenses, and the same thing on yourself, Mary, and you get $40,000 plus the $10,000 on each of your children. Now, there is a dismemberment benefit. Emotions aside, financially speaking, disability is harder than a death. So if you lose an eye, hand, or foot, it'll pay $20,000 directly to your checking account from a standard accident, $40,000 from an automobile, and $100,000 from a common carrier, and that's actually double indemnity, so it pays twice in a lifetime. And you do have here, you did need that mortgage education, mortgage protection, and the college education for your children as well. Okay. Now, what they're going to have me do is show you two different options. Okay. The first option is non-inflation, and that's designed to take care of the costs of what it is to cover your needs for today. And then there's inflation, which is designed to cover the costs of the future, so you never have to make this decision again. Does that make sense? Do you have any questions? Okay, in that case, the last question that they have me ask you is very simple. If it all makes sense the way you say that it does, which of the option works best for you and your family? So basically, this is the hospitalization coverage. Now, let's say something happened to you and you're on your way out the door. You trip, you sprain your ankle, you think you broke it. You're going to go somewhere, right? The doctor's office, an emergency room, a walk-in clinic. So what this is going to do is pay $200 cash, tax-free, directly to you. And this is on your wife as well as on your children. Now, there's no maximums, no limitations. If it was more serious than that and you're on your way to work and somebody's in more of a rush than you are and you wind up in an accident in an automobile, well, what this is going to do is pay you $400 for every day that you're in the hospital. Now, it doesn't make you rich, but it helps, keep your head above water. Now, if it's more traumatic than that and you wind up in ICU, then it's going to go ahead and pay you $800 for every day that you're in ICU, internal bleeding, a head trauma. Now, you're not going to just go home from ICU. They're going to put you back into a regular hospital room, and it's going to pick up at the $400 for the remaining 365 days a year. Now, basically, that gives each and every person $146,000 of coverage, each person, each year. Kind of just takes the gambling out. Now, here's in addition to your funeral and your final expenses, what they recommended is $30,000 to take care of your funeral, and you're actually going to get $10,000 on each of your children, and this is going to take care of anything, God forbid, happening to them. And this is in addition to your income. Now, John, you had $100,000 for your income in addition to your $30,000 for your funeral. And Mary, you had $76,000 in addition to your $30,000 for your funeral. Now, if you guys were going to die anytime soon, what do you think it's going to be from? An accident? Exactly. So let's say it's a standard accident. It's going to pay $40,000 in addition to the $100,000 and your $30,000. And that's also on your wife, Mary. And you're going to get $8,000 plus the $10,000 on your kids. Now, if it was an automobile death, and you're the driver or passenger, it pays $80,000 in addition to and $16,000 plus the $10,000 on your children. Now, if it was a common carrier like a bus, a plane, a taxi, or a cruise, it's going to pay $200,000 in addition to your $100,000 of income and your $30,000 for your final expenses, and $40,000 plus the $10,000 on each of your kids. Now, if you got into an accident, you didn't die, which is a good thing, but you lose a limb, you're going to go ahead and get $20,000 from a checking account from a standard accident, $40,000 from an auto, and $100,000 should it be from a common carrier. And that's also on your wife, and your children are also covered. And it is double indemnity, so it can happen to you twice in a lifetime, so it always pays double, or two different times should it happen from two different occasions. And then you had here is your mortgage. So you had $200,000 for your college education on you. Now, what they had me do is show you two different options. One of the first options is basically designed to take care of your needs for today, which is this. And then the other option, which is designed to take care of the needs of the future, which is this. Of the two options, which works best for you?